Hey guys, Rich Lopez with the Droptine Traditions podcast. On the air with me this morning is one of my idols of all time in bow making is Mr. Mike Fedora and his buddy Lawrence Pacl. Guys, how are you this morning?
Good.
Doing good, sir. Thanks for having us.
All right. Before we continue, I want to take care of some business. I want to thank my supporters, which is Traps Feather Rests, Daryl Damron, Traditional Bowhunter Magazine, Sauk Trail Archery, StickBowSupplies.com, Whiskey City Trad Gear, Jessie Savage Blacksmith.com, TraditionalJunk.com. If you want a good old used bow, check them out. St. Joe River Bow Company, TheEthicalPredator.com, and StickBowHuntsMX.com. So, guys, welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to speak with you, both of you. Mike, especially. Been a long time, brother.
It has.
You look good. Tell everybody how old you are.
I'm 39,
Okay.
and
39 and never
people
been
think
kissed. And never been kissed, right?
that's right. And people think I'm 85, but I don't want to say that.
Okay. Excellent. So I'll start it off. Mike, can you just give us a bio, where you born, raised, etc.?
I was born in New Haven, Connecticut. I lived in East Haven, West Haven, and finally in North Haven. And then I had a world record Olympic shooter come to me, and he says, "Mike, you really need to be in Pennsylvania." And a tractor truck later, I moved to Pennsylvania, and I purchased 3.5 acres into the farm country in Berks County, and that's where I lived for about 50 years.
Lawrence, what was your background? Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in York, Pennsylvania. I had a military veteran family. Got a twin brother, but we're polar opposites. He's the smart one of the group. He's on I think his second master's degree, probably going to go for his doctorate. Um, and I just grew up in York, Pennsylvania, around farmland, so I got a chance to hunt, fish, backpack, hike, and I was kind of left to do whatever I wanted
Yeah.
as long as I came home when it was dark.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Jersey, and I wound up in Baltimore, of all places. So I'm familiar with York because I would always in Pennsylvania. Bowhunter's Discount Warehouse. Remember that place?
Yep.
Yep, that was great. I remember I met Fred Bear there when I was a young man.
Wow.
So how did each of you get introduced into archery? Mike, well, since you're the senior guy here, beauty before age.
I When I was, I'm going to say 10 years old, my father bought me a self bow back then, and I started shooting. That's when I started shooting, around 10 years old. And then I elevated to a Ben Pearson solid fiberglass takedown bow, which I still have. And I just loved archery. Did my own arrows back then. Back then, it was mainly only wood arrows back in the 50s. And I kept up the arrow making. And then I went into being Howard Hill's dealer when I was 16 years old, till Howard Hill retired. And I sold Howard Hill bows. He made longbows, of course, but he also made one of the greatest recurve bows that I ever seen. It had a rosewood handle with bamboo limbs, and it was a beautiful piece of equipment.
I owned one. They're excellent.
Did you?
Yeah. I
Do you
think he
still
called
have
it.
it?
No, I sold it to a guy named Kelly who lives in Kansas. He's a buddy of
I
mine.
bet
So,
you'd like it back.
yeah. I think, didn't he use a reverse taper in the limb tips?
To my knowledge, it was 001 tapers
One taper? Okay. Now, how did you get
with the
introduced?
recurve.
Oh, okay. And Lawrence, how did you get introduced?
Oh, I started when my father got me a Brave bow, every kid's starter bow for my generation. Started shooting in the backyard, upgraded to a old Browning hand-me-down bow. It was an old compound, and I shot that, but I didn't get into traditional until after the military, into the fire service. I got into shooting Samick Sage, just cheap Amazon bow,
Mhm.
and I've stuck with it ever since. And boy, did I go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
And then, he led me down the rabbit hole much farther.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're both bow hunters.
Yes.
Mike, do you still hunt at all?
Yes.
Excellent. What's your favorite? Well, I don't think you're climbing trees anymore, are you?
Believe it or not, last year I did, and it was an old tree, and they should have took it down 20 years ago. And I was like, had the shakes.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So, what piqued your interest in making bows after you were selling them for Howard Hill?
Well, you know that the workmanship on Howard Hill bows were absolutely great, especially if Ben Pearson made them. They were flawless. He had other people making his bows, but you could tell the ones that Ben Pearson made, they were flawless, and the finish was excellent. And when Howard Hill retired, he used to call it Howard Hill Archery, and he was in California.
Mhm.
And when Howard Hill retired, I looked on the market and I couldn't find a bow that had that kind of finish and workmanship or shot like the Howard Hill bows.
Sure.
So I said, well, let me try to make a bow.
Mhm.
And there was no information on it at all. I actually sent letters to all the leading manufacturers at the time, and the only one that answered me back was Fred Bear, and who I became friends with. I did a show with him in Chicago in the McCormick Inn years later. And what happened was he said, Mike, there's no information on how to build bows. It was a great secret. See, and it was kept in America. I think Hoyt is the one that allowed it to go out of America with Yamaha and some of the other countries. So, but Fred Bear, he just kept the secret in America, American workmanship and so on.
And so, from that point forward, that was the birth of Fedora Archery?
From that point on, it was the birth of Fedora's Archery.
How long was Fedora's in business?
I'm on my 63rd year right now.
Wow. Now you're mentoring people, I understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I
Some of my clients is Dan Toki. He's from Montana,
yeah.
and he's been very successful in his bow making. Another one is Dale Karch, Three Rivers Archery.
Hmm.
Then we have a guy in Canada, Caribou Bows. He's another client. I had people come from all over the world. Jose Cusi from Spain, and they actually brought me to Spain to teach archery and to set up a custom factory in Spain. And I do a lot of design work for different companies.
Did you ever mentor or have a student named Dean Miller?
What was that name again?
Dean Miller.
Yeah.
Dean Miller. The name sounds familiar. I have a book in front of me with probably hundreds of pictures of people that I have trained.
Okay. Did you ever meet a California bowyer named Norm Richards?
Norm Richardson.
Just Richards. Norm Richards.
Richard. I could have, but like I said, I have a book in front of me right now with hundreds of pictures in it of people that I've trained for the past 50 years.
Well, I'm going to bring some bows up here to show you, and I'll explain.
Okay.
This bow here was made by a fella, that guy Dean Miller. I like the Browning Explorer bows, so I wanted one. And he had mentioned to me that he learned some things from you, namely this.
So he learned from me.
Yeah.
Well, he must be in my book somewhere.
Now,
And
were you the first to do the thumb rest thing?
yes, to my knowledge.
Because I love it.
What happens is most people don't understand how to use it. But when you grip the bow, obviously that's a lefty.
Yep, that's me.
When you grip the bow, and when I teach archery, which I've taught archery all over the world, I went to Spain, I went to different countries, Alberta, Canada. I did shows all over the place. And the way you shoot that thumb rest is you start drawing the bow down. And I learned this from Howard Hill. You would hold your right arm straight down, roll your elbow clockwise. See, by rolling your elbow clockwise, that gives you an extra inch clearance on your arm. And you push and pull the bow with an open hand. See, the thumb rest gives you the initial feeling of the grip. Now, when you get the full draw, you release the tension on the thumb rest and touch the very center of the back of the bow. By doing it this way, you cannot torque the bow. See, because people grab the bow and put a death grip on it. If you grab that bow a little bit crooked, you're changing the degree of sight window by torquing the bow in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're at full draw, your hand is open, you touch the back of the bow lightly, the thumb rest gives you the same grip every single time. And on a Fedora bow, we have a high spot coming through the center of the bow. And the reason for that is you want that bow to rotate in your hand as you're drawing the bow. See, a lot of people that I see put flat spots on that bow. And if you take your left hand and your right hand, put them together, like right now, if you want to do that. Okay, now make out that's a flat spot on the bow. Now take your other hand and just move it left or right. And you'll see that your hand moves not sideways, you're moving both hands at once. Feel?
Mm-hmm.
So a flat spot on a bow will give you torque before you even begin. I have taught several people in the Olympics. Fedora bowls hold 2 world records in the Olympic. We have over 25 world records in Pope and Young, and we still hold almost all the records on the East Coast, different organizations, NAA, NFAA. I had one gal, she won 9 years in a row in the women's division. Fedora bows won in the men's division, NFAA. And most of these people I have taught personally, how to be consistent. But the thumb rest is so important on a bow. I see many, many people right now copying the thumb rest idea, but using it properly is very, very important.
Now, this one here.
Yeah.
1963. California bowyer named Norm Richards, like I mentioned earlier.
The name sounds very familiar.
All his bows from the 60s have
I'll
this
have to
thumb
do
rest.
some research.
Yeah. Very scarce bows. They're not easy to find. They're like hen's teeth.
Yeah. And you say that I taught him?
That's what I've been told. But
okay. Yeah, I've taught so many people over the years.
Now, were you ever friends with Len Cardinal?
Yes.
I used to work for him.
In fact, is that right?
Yeah.
I I was the consultant for Stemler Archery for about 5 years, and Len Cardinale was from New Jersey,
Yep.
and he also was a consultant with
Mhm.
Stemler.
Yeah, he had a signature bow with Stemler back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, that was probably a Fedora bow, because what I did is I redesigned all the Stemler bows. And back in the late 70s or so, uh, I actually designed a bracketed bow compound for Stemler Archery that made the cover of some of the major magazines.
Well, let me switch gears here. Lawrence, let's talk real brief. Tell us about Northern Warrior Custom Bows. How did that come to be?
So Northern Warrior Custom Bows came to be after shooting one of Mike's bows at York Archers. Uh, Old timer shows up with this recurve. I said, "Man, that's a beautiful bow." And he said, "Do you want to shoot it?" I said, "Absolutely." I took a few shots, and I'm not exaggerating, it was gold after gold after gold. It fit my hand like a glove. And I had never shot a thumb rest before to where I could fit my hand so exact. So I said, "I don't know who this person is, this Fedora, but I said, I'm going to find him. I don't care if I have to book a plane ticket. I'm going to fly out there. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to learn how to make bows from this guy."
And he was right in your backyard.
He was right in my backyard. It's like it was meant to be. So I tracked him down on the internet, and his first question was, "How did you get my phone number?" I'm like, "I spent hours and hours researching to try to find this guy."
Right.
And I called him up and I said, "Hey, are you interested in teaching how to make bows? I'm highly interested, highly motivated. I want to get this off the ground. There is no bows like yours on the market that are still being made that I've seen to this level of quality of craftsmanship, shootability, all the above. I want to bring this back into this next generation of archery." And he said, "Let's do it." Without hesitation, I came up for a bow seminar, I believe in 22. And he asked me then and there if I wanted to make this a business or if I just wanted to do this for fun. I said, "I want to make it a business." I didn't quite understand what that meant yet. And now, 3.5 years into it, boy, it's been a journey for sure. But I'm trying to bring that Fedora style bow grip to the target archery world nowadays, as well as the hunting side of things, and then put in some modern tweaks that the customers want now, which is, they want a heavy bow. They want that bow pushing 5 pounds, 6 pounds. I personally like a lighter bow
Yeah.
because then I can carry it in the woods all day long versus carrying a log, you know?
Hmm.
So, but that's something that we're going to work on and innovate on, is coming out with a target bow for the Lancaster Classic, specifically for indoor, come out with an outdoor bow for longbow, for the 3D side of things. That's going to be competitive now in today's competition.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, what makes your bows different than others that are out there? Because I see a lot of guys out there making the same bow, and I'm like, I'm not interested in that.
What
And when you said heavy bows earlier, have you noticed the massive use of G10 lately?
Absolutely.
The boat
So
anchor.
my gripe with G10, and this is taught to me by Mike, if you pick up a piece of G10 and you drop it from head height, it can shatter. I'm not going to stick that in a bow. I'm going to use phenolics that are going to have a little bit of flex to them,
Yeah.
that are going to be able to handle the shock of these heavier bows. I'm not going to put anything in a bow that I can drop from that height and have it shatter. So safety is number one. So we're designing that with a proprietary phenolic that's going to be a safer, but give you the mass weight that you want. The second point is I'm 100% a custom bowyer. If you looked at my website, I don't have bow names. The reason why is I make a bow for you, period. If I have to make a new bow form to come up with a bow so that way it fits in your turkey blind because you only have 46 inches of clearance, we'll make it happen. Or at the same time, if you want a longer target bow, I'm going to make that happen. You want a 3-piece, a 2-piece, 1-piece, I'm going to fit it to you, your shooting style entirely. If you want your tiller changed, nowadays everyone wants either a neutral tiller or a negative tiller for some of the target shooters.
Mhm.
I'm going to make that happen. And I don't use it through CNC machine, which is going to give a carbon copy every single time
Right,
with no
right.
deviation. You get to choose 3 grips. That's not the way I do it. When I measure your hand, I take a look at where your lifeline is. I take a look at where you want to put your pressure on your bow, whether you have a high wrist or a low wrist grip, and even what finger pressure you put it on. That's one of the first questions I ask. What finger do you put the majority of your pressure on? Because
Hmm.
I can adapt the bow to that. Most people will say, I never really thought about that.
I
The
don't.
ones who
Yeah.
the ones who come to me that shoot targets specifically will say, okay, I put 60% on my index finger, 30% on my middle finger, and then 10% on my ring finger, just going for the ride. Cool. Let's make the bow tillered for that. So that way your limb timing is going to be accurate with the release that you have.
That makes
That's what we
perfect
do
sense.
different.
That's called a true custom bow.
A true custom bow. And I learned that from Mike, and I'm never going to change that. I'm never going to have the mass quantities that Bear Archery has. And Bear Archery, I have a love for Bear Archery in my heart. My first deer was taken with a recurve, was taken with a Bear Grizzly. Love it. I'm not trying to compete after that market. I am a fully custom bowyer,
Mhm.
period.
Yeah, I've been shooting bear takedown since the late 70s. And I'm
They're
still
a fun
shoot.
bow.
Yeah, I'm still shooting the same bow. I
Yep,
got
they're
150,
fun.
200 bows, but I shoot the same hunting bow for 40
Yep.
years.
Once you find one that fits you, uh, and when you take a look at that bow, every time you pass by, you're like, man, I want to go shoot some arrows through it. That's the one that works for you.
Mine looks like a truck ran over it. I call
Hey,
her name is Edna.
you got some experience with it. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
I
we
want someone
talk.
that actually wants to shoot their bow. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So this is a question for both of you gentlemen. For an aspiring young bowyer, what advice would you give for one starting out?
Well, if you were to ask me that question, I would say the first thing I would do is take a seminar on how to shoot a bow. You know, if somebody's going to make bows, they have to know how to shoot one. And because a lot of people that come to you will be first time archers. And if you could teach them how to stay on target at 15 yards and be accurate, and then move back to 20, 30 yards and still be accurate. I had a guy come to me a couple years ago, and he is, I don't have his name handy, but he is the number one skeet shooter in the world. And he lives in Montana. And he said, Mike, you got to teach me how to shoot. And on my property at the time, we could shoot 52 yards. And we had an 8-inch target face up. And by the time we got through, he was able to keep, out of 6 arrows, he was able to hit the paper 4 times out of 6 with the other 2 arrows right around it at 52 yards. So what happens is when a person is starting out, first thing to do is how are you going to make a bow if you don't know how to shoot one? Now, Lawrence is an excellent shot. And we went through all the shooting with him, how to stand, hold, draw, release, follow through. And he's an excellent student. And so by doing this, now you can make a bow that's going to be accurate because, like I said, the flat spots on a bow that many people do, they torque the bow during the shot because they're the flat spot, like I put your 2 hands together, the flat on a flat follow each other. So if you're right-handed shooter and your left hand is moving just a little bit, that whole bow will torque. See, and so people don't realize that, but That's why on a Fedora bow, we put a high spot down the middle. Now, if you take one of your hands and open it up, now take the side of your hand and put it in the open hand. Yes. Now take the vertical and just move it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Notice the bow does not follow your hand. And that's what the high spot on a Fedora bow does. It delays the torque. See? And that's why I think about 8 months ago, we just set another world record. A guy shot a polar bear up in Iceland, and it's another world record. And he shot it with a 62-pound Fedora bow, one shot, one arrow, and made the Pope and Young record book. That was
Beautiful.
8 months ago.
Now, what are your thoughts, Lawrence, on a new person coming out?
My number one thing is, do you actually understand the time the time that it takes to do this, the investment, not just monetarily, but your time is an investment as well. This is a very meticulous profession. Do you have that personality where you're going to dive into something and analyze every aspect of it? Are you going to pick up on flaws? Are you going to pick up on something that's going to cause a bow failure? Are you going to have that mindset to always try to stay innovative? Are you always going to be constantly doing research to try to improve your designs, make them faster, make them more competitive in the market today? I think that mindset of being meticulous and having that commitment level is needed to be successful in this profession. And also understand that this is not cheap to get into. We use a lot of carving machines, saws.
All custom made.
Yeah, and I have handmade every single one of my machines. They don't sell them. They don't exist. You have to make them. So you have to be a bowyer. You have to be a machinist. You have to be an engineer.
Yep.
And that mindset needs to come with being a bowyer.
Correct.
Ironically, you said that about the custom-made machines. Mike, remember Jack Howard?
Yes.
Okay, well, he had unfortunately passed away tragically. His widow contacted me. I'm going back around 2002, and she had a bunch of his bows in the shop that were either in middle of mid repair, they needed repair, and some need finished. It was about 15 bows. So she sent me them, and I finished them, and all of them, and delivered them for her.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All the proceeds went to her. All I wanted was my fees for shipping. That's it. And she wrote me the most beautiful letter after that, which I still have. And lovely gal. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us. So, however, while she was, I guess, in a nursing home or assisted living, they were trying to sell the business. And along came with it all this Brazilian rosewood, vermilion.
I bought all the rosewood he had.
Oh, okay. Thank God. So, but the machines and the business name and everything were out there. I think it was in Nevada. And her and I could not come on a price at all. We were like this far apart. But I had to explain to her, I'd have to get a tractor trailer. I don't even drive. I don't have a CDL. So I have to find somebody to go with somebody out there to pick the stuff up and then bring it back to the East Coast. Well, while all that was going on, a couple of yahoos broke into the shop and they stole the remaining vermilion and some of them and a lot of the equipment. And it all just disappeared. And it was being handled by, I believe, a distant nephew who really didn't understand what he was doing. So that was a shame. So I'm retiring next year. So I'm going to try.
That's quite a bit of history right there.
Yeah.
Because
I was
in touch with him prior to his death. And he had he had the rosewood and a lot of it was cut up into pieces, And so I said, I'll take it all. And, That's kind of our relationship right there.
Well, prior to her passing, she sent me all his blueprints for his bows. So I'm going to try and reintroduce that bow when I retire next year.
Well, it may be possible for you to come here, and I could work together with you on that, and we could do it.
Well, we'll have to stay in touch. That's all.
That sounds good.
So I'm going to bring back a little more history, Mike. I met you perhaps 40 years ago through the late bow collector Al Reeder. He introduced us.
I know Al Reeder.
Yep. Unfortunately, another one that passed away tragically.
That's great.
Yep. This was in Connecticut. It was sponsored by the short-lived Society of Traditional Archers. Fred Anderson was there as well. Did you know Fred?
Yes,
He's still kicking.
Vasco Bows.
Yes, sir. Seattle Archery Company, I think, basically encompassed all of those guys.
Correct.
Drake, all those guys. So that's great. So we're linked through history, you and I, Mike.
Tell you,
And
I said to a guy, Ed Albright, he just passed away.
yeah, Ed was a good buddy of mine.
Did you know Ed?
Oh, I knew Ed forever.
I'll tell you, in the last couple of years, here he was up in Sawmill and different places.
Yeah.
And he come to my booth and he said, Mike, and here he is bleeding to death. He had cancer. He had all these other, that guy had more than 10 lives. I'll tell you,
Yeah, he did.
because he constantly called me. We constantly prayed together. We constantly, kept in touch. He said, Mike, there's not a lot of us left, And I said, Ed, I know it. We're dwindling away, all the old timers, And but he, to my knowledge, he still holds the world record in the NFAA bear bow. He had a 504, and that's amazing because when they changed the target to get a 5, you hit the dot, instead of the big ring that it used to be.
I got a funny story about Eddie. Ed had a 70, no, it was a 68-inch Ben Pearson Lord Mercury target bow. So he lends the bow to his brother. His brother wants it to make it heavier. So his brother decides to paint the limbs with house paint, latex house paint, and build up the coats to stiffen up the limb. Doesn't work out too well. Gives the bow back to Ed. Ed is now like beside himself. So Ed knew of me because I refurbish a lot of the vintage bows and restore them. He says, Rich, what can you do with this thing? I shake my head, and I usually don't take on work like that because that's just sometimes get turned into a bad problem. But I loved Ed to the point that, yeah, anything you asked me to do, Ed, I did it, because he was a fun guy. I actually had a beer with him back in May at the Baltimore shoot.
Yeah.
And then he passed on afterwards. At any rate, so I get the bow and I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, oh my God, it's horrible. It's like glopped on. It's latex. Latex, when it hardens, it's like a rock.
It's serious.
Yeah. So I painstakingly took a cabinet scraper and scraped off all that latex until I got down to the raw fiberglass. But now the fiberglass was kind of beat up. So I sanded it all down and took an airbrush and painted the limbs to match, so it looked like brand new fiberglass. And then refinished the whole bow completely. And I didn't even show pictures to Ed or anything. I just pulled it out of the case and handed it to him. And it brought a tear to his eye. And that bow is still around, I think. I mean, I think his widow or his family's trying to get somebody to take his
his
bows.
wife had died previously.
That's right. Previous. So his family has got his collection. I don't know what they're doing with it, but it's there.
He was trying to get up here. He had a ebony handled target bow. Are you familiar with that one?
I've heard stories about it.
Yeah, everybody wanted it. It was Fedora takedown, solid ebony target bow. And he said, Mike, He said, I want to work on the grip a little bit and maybe the limbs. He said, I'm getting old, and he said, I'm trying to get up there, but he was always, in the last couple of years, he was so sick. People can't imagine how sick that man was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he carried himself around the course, to be honest with you, but he did. He loved archery so much that he was one of the last of the old timers.
Yeah.
Uh, Tell me, have you heard anything about John Lee?
Nothing recently. And actually, John used to send me text messages all the time. Now that you
I don't
mention
know
it,
if
it's
he
been a couple of
passed or,
months. You know who I'm going to ask about? I'm going to ask Gene Hopkins. I talked to Gene quite a bit.
oh, yeah, because I'd like to be able to contact John Lee. I had some original Howard Hill longbows, and I sent them to John Lee because he wanted to make a room full of Hill artifacts. He had the arrow that killed the elephant, and all that. He had so many Howard Hill artifacts. It'd be a great thing to have a little history room of Howard Hill stuff.
Do you have John's phone number?
I do. I can give that to you,
No, I have it. I have it in front of me. That's why I was
but
asking.
I just haven't been able to get him. So
Okay.
I don't know if what's going on with him.
Yeah, because what did he get? He got something from me. I think it was a Jupiter bow, an old one from the late 50s. I don't remember, but it's been a while since I spoke to him. Yeah. So let's change gears again.
I did make several bows for John Lee, long bows that he gave away to friends.
Okay. Yeah, he was generous in that regard. He gave bows away
Yeah,
like crazy.
yeah.
Um, so let's talk about something near and dear to my heart, wood.
Uh-oh.
Yep. So I remember years ago, Mike, I've been a member of the PBS since the late 70s. I would look at the back page and there would be your ad, full page ad with all these cubes of wood. And you would list the species, Congalum alves and all these other cool bow woods, but it was a black and white ad. And I'm like, man, I wish this was color. But you had all this wood I never heard of. Namely, you were the only one that had Brazilian rosewood.
I had one of the largest collections of Brazilian rosewood in America.
Now, why was Brazilian rosewood no longer imported into the US?
Well, it starts back when, if we turn the clock back, in fact, in my car right now, I have a couple Brazilian rosewood bows, one made by uh, Martin Archery and one made by the gun company, another gun company. Uh, and they're absolutely beautiful. And when my wife gets back, hopefully in time, I'll be able to show them to you. But in about 3 to 5 years, America bowmakers used up all the Brazilian rosewood that was available. And then the prices went up. It became rare. Now it's been extinct right now for over 62 years. And there's a Rare Species Act on it. There is an imported act on it. You can't actually ship it out of America.
Mhm.
And it's, in the guitar industry, Martin Guitar, uh, they still use Brazilian rosewood. If, you know, they're using stuff that they had. I recently bought about 500 board feet of Brazilian rosewood uh, that went on sale in Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
I had quite a bit, and I sold out in 2014, and they took quite a bit of it. The company that bought me out, and so I was able to buy about 500 board feet recently in the past 5 years uh, here in Pennsylvania. Because of the Rare Species Act and all these Embargo Act, and everybody's afraid of it, see? But it came out of Martin Arch, not Martin, the guitar, Martin Guitar, back in 1938. So I have that, and it's actually, you know, they rejected it for guitars, but you can imagine how beautiful that wood was back then
Yeah.
because everything was special. There was so much available in 1938. By the end of 1960s, it was gone. The bow makers, the manufacturers, Browning Archery is the bow that I have. And when I show you this Browning bow made out of Brazilian rosewood, you're just going to say, Mike, that thing is unbelievable. And I brought that here for Lawrence to show him some of the work that was done back then by, they had real bow makers. And so I do have a collection out of my 200 bows, and I'm weeding out the Brazilian rosewood bows. I have, Bear Archery used that big target bow that they had, the Tamberlane. That's Brazilian rosewood.
Yeah.
And so they used up all the supply. That's it. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think you could buy it now except in small little pieces. And also, Garboon ebony. You could only buy like 1 inch by 1 inch by 12 inches,
Yeah, I've got
But-
one bow behind me made of gaboon ebony and zircote. That's a
The what?
beautiful wood. Zircote or zircote.
Okay.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
What do you like, Lawrence? What's your favorite wood?
Oh, my favorite's going to be the white and black ebony, pale moon ebony.
Mhm.
The color contrast is stunning.
Yeah.
It's purely God's artistry into the wood, and it's just it's stunning. When you put that underneath glass,
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's one of my favorite color combinations there is. I'm pretty much into any wood, any species that's highly figured.
Yeah.
I want something that grabs the eye, right? And show the beauty inside the lumber that I'm putting into a bow. I want it to be something that when you're carrying it in the woods or you're carrying it to the field for target archery, that kind of makes people stop and just take a look at it.
Yeah.
I got some waterfall babinga right now that's stunning, beautiful veneer. It's going to make a stunning bow. It really pops in sunlight, has a lot of contrast to it.
So, but this question is for both of you guys. What is your least favorite bow wood to work with?
Well, it's called snakewood, or there's several names for it, but it's a beautiful wood, but it has air pockets in it.
Leopard wood.
Leopard wood.
Yeah.
See, it has air pockets. And if it's used in the limbs, your failure could be 80%. It brings the bow failure up because the glue cannot get in the air pockets, and then under stress, it breaks down and the limbs will fail.
What about you, Lawrence?
I love the outcome, but I don't like working with the rosewoods because they're so oily.
Yeah.
And it gets all over your sandpaper.
Yeah.
And it makes the awful mess. And then all these harder woods, like I'm gonna probably say the name wrong, Cadillacs, but a lot of these lignin vita, these super hard dense woods, they dull your blades quick too. No woodworker likes having to replace their bandsaw blade that's all nice and finely tuned.
Yeah.
Same thing with planer blades. Man, does it go through them.
Ligma vita is still used in ships for gears. They make gears out of it because they have to machine it, and it takes on water and it lasts, and it's like a piece of steel. I have a piece of Ligma vita, and it just a small piece weighs a great deal amount, but to make a bow out of it, it's kind of a rough proposition.
Yeah, I would imagine. Now you've been around long enough, Mike, to see the evolution in traditional archery, but namely bows. Is there anybody out there, modern bowyer, that you've taken notice of that's making a bow for the ages, if you will?
Well, I'm kind of prejudiced, biased, and bigoted, but when you take Dan Toki, you know, I remember when he came here. I have a picture of him in my album here in front of me, and he said, "Mike, I want to learn how to make bows," and he stood with me about a week. And by the time the week was over, we went through a shooting lesson, everything. And by the time the week was over, here's what he told me. He said, Mike, what kind of money is it going to take for you to duplicate all your machines? I want to buy your machines. I want to buy your forms, your designs. And oh, I don't know. It was 6 months later, tractor trailer truck. I was waving goodbye. Everything was on there, the machines, the designs. He purchased all these things from me, and we've been in touch ever since.
Yeah.
And the last time I talked to him, he was 2 or 3 years behind. Uh, he was not even taking orders to make bows. That's what he told me. He said, Mike, he said, I'm so many bows. But anyways, here again, our machines are designed to do custom bows.
Mhm.
See, you cannot buy them. And uh, here again, the first ones I designed were made out of wood. And then I teamed up with a metal fabricator, and he helped me fabricate, some of the metal outside of the machine, but using the same design. So when Lawrence makes a grip, it's not anything mass produced. He makes the grip fit your hand. The way that I always did it is I tell a person to lay their hand on a piece of paper, trace around the grip, because there's a small, medium, large, and extra large. Uh, I had recently had a guy pass away in Rhode Island. He was about 5'6", but if you went to shake his hand, it would be like your hand going into a baseball mitt. His hands I never seen hands that big in my life. And so when I made him a bow, uh, the grip had to be big, because you see, when you're holding the bow, let's say you're raking a shot. Okay, now you put your hand in the grip, you feel the thumb rest. It feels like, oh, this is where my hand should be. Now you're pulling the bow. Now your fingers should rest gently on the back of the bow. See? Now, a lot of this stuff I learned from Howard Hill because I was his dealer, but his bows were 3 inches wide. Figured that out. But why were they so wide? Because if you watch him shoot, his fingers rested on the back of the bow in the center. See?
Yeah. Hmm.
And he used the broomstick grip, which is fantastic. And so contact point 1 is the string. That's in the center of the bow, correct?
Yes.
Contact point 2 is the palm of the grip. That has the high spot in the center.
Mhm.
So if we were going to put a third contact point on, where would it go? In the very back of the bow. So what do we form now from the string to the palm to the back of the bow? We formed a straight arrow, right?
Mhm.
See how straight that is?
Yes.
And so by forming that arrow and then you touching the back of the bow lightly, see, you're not going to torque that bow.
Now, back in the day, Mike, who was when you were coming up, if you will, in the beginnings of Fedora Archery? Back in those days, who was a favorite bowyer or competitor for you?
Well,
I know you mentioned
here,
Howard Hill. You mentioned Howard Hill quite a bit.
yeah,
But
Howard Hill. Howard Hill passed away when he was exactly 75 years old, and but there were a lot of decent bow makers at the time,
Mhm.
but most of them were big manufacturers. See, like I say, if my wife gets back in time, or I will email a picture of the Browning bow I have that were made out of rosewood. But the finish was flawless. Here again, I would say Hoyt was a big competitor. Earl Hoyt, I knew him personally, and of course he married Ann,
Weber.
from Robin Hood Archery in New Jersey, and she was a great influence on him. She was a target shooter, of course, but I would say those two companies were the competitive companies.
Mm-hmm. How about for you, Lawrence? Don't be afraid.
My,
Don't be afraid to drop names.
I mean, mine is a one piece Fedora recurve, which there's not a ton of them out there nowadays. That was my favorite, and that's what got me into this and down the rabbit hole. So that being my number one. My favorite number two is just going to be your standard Bear Grizzly.
Mhm.
It's an affordable price, and you know what? It kills deer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not going to be the most accurate bow. It's not going to be the fastest bow, but it'll always hold a place in my heart. And as far as target archery goes, my favorite one out there right now, which I'm gonna try to do my darnest to compete with them and start taking some of those titles away. But Timber Point Archery, they make a beautiful bow. They hold the records now, and it's given me the motivation to try to at least make it a competition with the bows.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk bow hunting, since it's right around the corner. Season opener in Pennsylvania, is that start now, or is it October 1st?
So that's going to be for 5C. The season here is starting, I believe it's around, without having an exact date in my calendar, starting around, it's October 4th.
Okay.
So we have a little bit more time. I'm still cranking out a bow. I'm going to take it in the woods. It'll be hot out of the press by the time it hits the woods.
Believe it or not, Florida's bow season started 3 weeks ago.
Exciting.
No, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's like 100 degrees, 110-degree heat index. And I'm like, I don't want to sit in a swamp in that kind of heat. So,
And under those conditions, killing an animal, you've got to get that skin off and gut it and get it into a cooler as quick as possible, or you're going to lose the animal.
yep, absolutely. I shot a hog last February, and it was in the 80s. So as soon as we got it out of the swamp, we hung it, skinned it, quartered it, threw it in a cooler immediately. And I was able to get it home and work on it in air conditioning. So, Mike, you said earlier you still bow hunt, just local?
Yes, sir.
Lawrence, how about you?
I hunt just Pennsylvania. I have a 3-year-old daughter, so
Yeah.
I'd like to see her, So once she gets a little older, maybe in school, I'll do a little more traveling. But right now, I don't hunt past about 30 miles from my house.
Okay. Have you ever traveled out of state?
I did. Growing up, I hunted down in North Carolina. I've hunted in Virginia and all throughout the state of Pennsylvania.
So what's your favorite rig for hunting? Your setup? What do you like to do?
So I love a one-piece longbow because it's reliable. It's steady in the woods. However, it's not my favorite in a tree stand. So my favorite is probably a one-piece 58-inch recurve. That's what I'm cooking in the form, and I'll have that out for hunting this year out of a tree stand because that's primarily how I hunt. I want to be able to clear those branches a little easier. I've already hit a few bow limbs on branches over the last few years hunting with a longbow. I hunt with a 66-inch longbow, not the most forgiving out of a tree stand.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't know. I got something in my throat.
Oh, it's okay.
160 episodes, and the first time I have a coughing spell. Oh my God. Anyway,
It may be a frog, so be careful.
Probably being here. What's your arrow setup?
Pardon me?
What is your favorite arrow setup?
I loved always wood arrows, but time has taken its toll on wood arrows. Years ago, all the wood arrows used to be air dried wood,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a memory. Now they kiln dried them, which when you kiln dry a piece of wood, that's why we use air dried wood for our bows, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when you kiln dry a piece of wood, what happens is you're killing the enzymes and some of the natural fibers in the wood. And so arrows made now with kiln dried wood don't have the memory that they used to have. So I stood with XX75 as being the greatest hunting arrow, price affordable. Every arrow is within 3 grains of each other, same identical
Mm-hmm.
spine. And, you could shoot very accurate. I always went for accuracy between the bow and the arrow. I wanted to make the most accurate bow I could make, but I also wanted to make the most accurate arrow I could make. For an example, being a Howard Hill student back when I was young, uh, he used parabolic fletch,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the 5 inch parabolic, because when you use the other type fletches, uh, they whistle when they go through the air. And Howard Hill was way out of his class in being so futuristic. In other words, he did stuff with bows, with arrows. He went underwater, and he shot fish underwater with a bow and arrow, and he was just so futuristic in almost everything he did.
What do you like in broadheads?
Well, I was a personal friend of Dick Naleski. He was the owner of Wasp Archery.
Mm-hmm.
We went on many fishing trips together, and uh, I like the idea of a razor type blade, but for traditional archery, I still sell the old Botkins. You could practice with them. They're light. You could file them. You could shoot, dull them out, file them in 3 seconds with a file. You're filing 2 blades at once, and they will kill deer.
What about you, Lawrence? What's your setup?
Right now I do a 3 blade VPA broadhead.
Mm-hmm.
They're CNC machined. They're precise. They're probably the easiest to sharpen broadhead on the market. I love them.
Are they a
I got
single
nothing but
bevel?
good things to say. No, they're double bevel. The ones that I have, they're quick to do because once again, being like an engineer, I'm not going to go single bevel because it's an unsupported edge.
Mm-hmm.
A double bevel is a supported edge. It's going to retain longer and it's going to hold up. And this is where it's controversial. They say single bevel for shoulder shots. I disagree entirely. A supported edge cannot be beat. So I use a double bevel 3 blade VPA broadhead at 125 grain with XX75 aluminums. I'm in agreement with Mike. However, I do not like the camo hunters. Have you ever tried to find your arrow in the fall with the camo hunter? It's terrible. So,
I shoot the autumn orange XX75.
yeah, the
Yeah.
orange isn't bad. I joked around. I said I might spray paint them hot pink this year. I want to be able to find that in the foliage. I don't care. Do lime green fletching. It's gonna be the ugliest arrows in the world, but when I need to find them for that blood trail, I'm gonna be able to find it. But that's my go-to for my setup.
If I could intervene,
Sure.
I am not a 2 bladed person, because if you draw a straight line on a piece of paper and you vertically draw a 2 bladed broadhead next to that line, you just missed the main artery. A 3 blade, 4 blade, I just like 3 blades because they balance out with the fletch. But a 3 bladed arrow cuts a complete circle. You cannot push that blade through without hitting that line. Whereas a 2 blade, Tom Taylor, who's a very famous bow hunter. Do you know Tom Taylor?
Yeah, I do.
Well, he's killed I think 24, 26 out of the big game animals. He lives in New York, near my son presently. And he said, Mike, he said, the worst experience that I've had is two-bladed heads, even with a so-called good hit. And we tracked them for hours and hours. And I'm in agreement. Tom is a very smart person. He actually was the owner of the Boston Globe newspaper. He's the
Yep.
heir to that. And very, very good bow hunter. He puts his time in, and
Yeah.
lot.
I've known Tom almost 40 years as well.
Is that right? Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, hanging out in New Jersey and rubbing elbows with people like you and Al Reeder, you tend to meet people, you know what I mean? Through attrition. So I'm a blessed man in that regard. I myself, broadhead wise, I've been shooting going on almost 40 years, the Zwicky Delta with the bleeders. So I sharpen them, and I've, well, I've lost a few game animals, but I've lost them on bare razor heads. And that's a fine head in its own right. I mean, historically speaking, and they're still killing game today with it.
That's correct.
But I'm old school. I still do a lot of things that I did back then. Like I'm still hunting with my bear takedown. That's
Ecclesiastic says there's nothing new under the sun. It's been done already,
Right,
So.
right. Well, if you see these guys, these modern shooters now, they're talking about the sear grip and all it is string walking. I mean, right? I mean, we've
Target shooting.
Right. It's crazy. But Lawrence, what's your favorite method to hunt? Tree or ground or both?
I normally do a tree stand almost exclusively because I spend a lot of time scouting.
Mhm.
So I scout on main trails, and I only go to that tree stand when the thermals are right, when the wind is correct, barometric pressure. I check all that kind of stuff, and I hunt based on that. Now, the most adrenaline filled, which I'll do occasionally, is spot and stalk. I have way too many failed attempts on that. I only have one success on a spot and stalk, and the buck came up to 10 yards. So it was great. However, I'm going to go with old reliable, which is tree stand.
Yeah. Yeah, I stopped climbing. Well, I do climb trees, but they're ladder stands I use now. I don't do any climbing. Oh, I see that. That's a 70s Browning Explorer.
This is like brand new Brazilian rosewood, but look at the workmanship on this bow. It's flawless. Larry is here.
Oh, here.
Bring it up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, just bring it back. Pull it back a little. Yeah,
But
what it is you've got
rotate the bow.
Yeah.
you have
the background
stop
blur.
right there. Stop right there. Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. That's like brand new. That's like
It's like brand new.
It's like a 1972.
It's in my collection, and if you know people that I have 200 bows that I need to really consider selling because I want to stay married to my wife, and I've been married to her for 62 years, and having all these bows could be like a little problem, Here's a Howitt
focus
Hunter.
Right
That's
there.
Brazilian rosewood.
Oh my God, look at that. That's like a 1960. Let me see the other side of it. That's got black fiberglass.
Yeah, they didn't have anything else back then.
Yeah, that's like a 1963 or 4.
It's like brand new.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I use the blur for the Zoom meetings. I use the blur background for work because I don't want my coworkers seeing game animals and stuff. And people get offended nowadays. And I'm still working for corporate America. So.
Oh, I understand.
But yeah, do you guys gun hunt at all?
I do.
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
Look, I fill the freezer. If I have tags left over, I'm going to fill the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Gun hunting to me is fill the freezer. Meat hunting,
Mm-hmm.
You need some meat. I do not buy meat in a store, honestly.
Wow.
all these years I used deer meat and other game animals that I shot, and that's my meat supply.
Now, you told me, Mike, that you were in a tree stand last year.
Yeah, scary tree stand. It
Okay.
was an old tree. It was falling apart, and I went with a friend of mine, and he had this spot located, and he he said, "Mike, do you think you could climb it?" I climbed it, but when I got up there about 18 feet, it was pretty scary.
Yeah, that's pretty high, when you're climbing up an old tree.
Yeah.
Uh, so what's in store for you two guys the rest of this year and 2026? What are your goals?
Well, my goal with Lawrence is to come up with the most accurate target bow. Here again, he mentioned to you about physical weight,
Mhm.
uh, and his, I guess, futuristic thoughts is he wants to make the best target bow in the world.
Mhm.
And I think with some of his engineering feats and mine, we could put together like a super target bow recurve and a super target bow longbow. See, and here again, we're going to use black phenolic, linen
Mhm.
phenolic, not some of this other stuff that's on the market. Uh, to get our physical weight. We may also incorporate lead in the handle to balance the bow out. There's different tricks that I learned over the years to make a bow very accurate.
While it's in my mind, it popped in my head, Mike, some of your bow models back in the day, they didn't have names, they had numbers. I think one was a Fedora 8 something or 4 something,
560.
560. What was the reasoning behind that? The naming convention.
Well, over the years, people ask me what that stand for. Well, if you shot a perfect outdoor round NFAA, right,
Mhm.
it's 560.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Hey, that's
uh,
genius.
I he passed away now, but there was a guy named Rod Hoover,
Okay.
and he constantly shot. Now here again, he point of aim. I don't. I shoot instinctive up to 35 yards,
Okay.
and then I use something on the bow to shoot long range. I've shot deer up to 65 yards, but Rod Hoover was shooting 50 to 55 pounds as his target bow,
Wow.
and he was shooting scores that were, like he had a 558 out of 560. He had lots of 548s, 550, and that's almost perfect shooting. And he shot split finger, and
Mhm.
I never changed because I wanted to shoot like Howard Hill split finger. So I taught string walking, Bruce Shelley, many of these guys that won the NFAA, and Gloria Shelley. Uh, but I never was tempted to shoot with a sight
Mhm.
or string walk, or
Right.
we call it gun barreling the days, three fingers under. And if I could add one more thing to that I see on the market, you cannot tiller a bow for three fingers under. That is like fantasy.
Okay.
See,
Tell us why. Yeah. Tell us why.
the bow never changes.
Okay.
So what happens is if a guy's shooting a release aid, where is the release aid pulling the string back is directly under the arrow. So whether you shoot split finger, which you're using your middle finger,
Mhm.
that's under the arrow. If you're using gun barreling, the finger that's under the arrow should have the most pressure on it. And here again, uh, if you find a Fedora bow and the arrow rest is 3 inches above the shelf, I did one for Ed's wife at the time, Judy Albright,
Yeah.
and I had to teach her how to shoot. Ed didn't have patience, but and I know it's hard for a husband to teach a wife or a wife to
Yeah.
listen to a husband. So, anyways, the bow was 29 pounds and 28 inches. And I made her a 64-inch bow. Her draw length was 24 inches. And at 24 inches, the bow was 19 pounds. And she could shoot accurate. I think she won the nationals once or twice,
Hmm.
but she could shoot accurate at 80 yards because what we did when she walked the string, we set the arrow rest up that high so that she was in the center of the bow on most of her shots, see? And when she shot the 80 yarder, she used the shelf right across the dot, and the bow was 19 pounds. And here
Hmm.
again, we used X7 aluminum arrows. I think she
Yeah.
used a 16, 14, and she shot very accurate with that setup. But that's why I put the arrow rests so far above the shelf.
Mhm.
See, because then you could use the shelf or the arrow rest, whatever you wanted.
All the years I knew Ed Albright, he never mentioned that his wife shot. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Well,
But
I'll tell you something. I don't want to say this too loud, but she could keep up with Ed many times.
that's good. That's a good memory for me to absorb that. So Lawrence, what's going on with what are your plans for 26, let's say? You're going to grow the
Well,
business?
so, yep, 26 is going to be growing the business, going to more events, get my face out there more, go to, try to make Compton. I made ETAR this year, but I'll be a vendor come next year there.
Okay.
Try to go to the Baltimore Bowman, try to
Mhm.
hit a lot of the ones on the East Coast. But number one is going to be finishing prototype target bow to shoot at the Classic this
Yeah.
year coming up.
Awesome.
That's number one. I'm gonna make that happen. So that's what's in the works.
Yeah, got to go to Baltimore. I'm going to miss it in 26. First time ever. Mike, do you remember the t-shirts that they sold at the Baltimore shoots that had all that really fancy art on the back of it?
Yeah,
I'm the artist.
Oh,
really?
that's amazing.
What a
I've,
small world.
I've been doing that art for 35 years. And
Wow.
I've only missed one shoot. One that was, I think, what was that? Oh, my wife was ill. And then this year I'm taking her on a cruise. So it's either that or the cruise. So if I'm like you, if I want to
Want to
stay
stay
married,
married?
yeah, there you go. But
You
I'll still do the art.
you mentioned art.
Mhm.
To be a bowyer, you need to be an artist.
Mhm.
You need to have mechanical ability. You need to be uh, an engineer. You need to have many of these talents. And back when we turn the clock back, to some of the bow makers like Fred Bear had and different ones that you might know,
Mhm.
these guys were, highly talented people.
Yeah.
And some of them bare bows, like Lawrence is still shooting a bow that's, I don't know how many years old, and it's still shooting.
Yeah.
But
I lucked
his
out. I lucked out
Grayling
genetically.
bows, his Grayling bows were the bows to collect,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, I've got many of them. They're great. Um, I lucked out genetically. My father worked on helicopters, and he would make his own tools. If there was no particular tool available, he'd make it. And he drew, and he was an artist. And thank God, thanks, pops. You know, my mother was a great cook, and I'm a great cook, so I got the best of both worlds. Uh, I'm not taking anything away from my wife; she's a great cook. But at any rate, so how can folks get a hold of you both?
Well, I'm still under Fedora's Archery Shop,
Mhm.
and I don't know if that's on the YouTube or not, but
It will be now.
but I still have the same phone number I've always had. It's 717-933-8862. Yeah. And one thing I've done that I noticed other bowyers over the years didn't do. I still answer my phone. If I'm not home, I will call you back. But I love archery. I'm considered a toxologist. I know the past, the present, the future, of archery, and that's the name that was given
Mhm.
to me years ago. And I love to help people, no charge. I mean, people call me and say, "How do I do this?" or "How do I do that?" And if I can answer their question on the phone, I never charge a dime for my time. It's I donate that to archery.
Yeah, that I've noticed 40 years ago. One of the most generous men I know. And I'm glad we've maintained this relationship, and I'm glad we've rekindled it.
It's amazing. Yes.
So, how can folks get a hold of you, Lawrence?
So it's going to be www.northernwarriorcustombows.com.
Mhm.
I'm also on Facebook under the same name, Northern Warrior Custom Bows. And contact at northernwarriorcustombows.com is going to be the email.
Mhm.
And then my phone number, which is 717-855-5183. And pretty much my website is set up there for you
Mhm.
to contact me and we can have at least a phone call. This is a very in-depth procedure to order a bow and to understand what the customer wants.
Mhm.
It's something that still needs to be personal communication, preferably face-to-face, if at
Yeah.
all possible. I don't mind saying, okay, hey, I'll be at Baltimore Bowman or I'll be at ETAR. Let's meet
Mhm.
up. Let's talk then,
Yeah.
because then I can actually see and fit it to your hand.
Sure.
So phone call is going to be the number one. Even if you send me an email or a Facebook message, I'm going to call you at a minimum, if not meet you at my favorite archery range, which is York Archers,
Mhm.
and we'll go over the bow and we'll talk about it in person.
Excellent. Excellent. Mike, do you have an email address?
It's Fedora, Fedora, at Comcast, COMCAST.net.
Excellent. Excellent. Well,
And
guys,
I will answer all inquiries.
excellent. Excellent. This has been, again, an honor and a pleasure to speak with both of you. Um, man, I mean, time flies. You
Oh,
know, I'm
tell me
trying.
about
I'm
it.
trying to get Fred Anderson, but again, he doesn't do a lot of modern technology stuff, so it won't be with video. I'll just do it where I can record into the microphone from my phone. Do you remember Bob Savage?
Bob
Savage Death.
Savage.
Yeah.
I actually made bows for him back when, and he it was amazing. He had called me one time and he says, "You know what, Mike? I tried to copy your bow, but my copy doesn't shoot like your bows." He said, so he had me make bows for his personal friends that he put his name on.
Oh, the Savage Death Master. Well, it's funny you say that because I spoke to Bob a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, and I must have caught him at a bad time, but I have to call him back to interview him as well. He's apparently thinking about reintroducing that bow. I don't know. We shall see. I think these podcasts are lighting fires under some guys that are semi-retired. It's like because I keep bringing them up since I'm the old bow
or
collector.
or fully retired.
Right, right, something like that. But again, guys, I'm gonna thank you so much. We're over an hour now, which is perfect. I try to get at least an hour. I had a guy on here one time, actually, Gene Wenzel, almost went 3 hours.
Well, speaking of that, we just did Barry's bow. Me and him just did Barry's bow.
Barry
Right,
Wenzel.
yeah,
Yeah,
right for ETAR.
excellent, excellent.
We made him that bow, I think in 2009. And he called me up and he said, "Mike," he said, "I really use this bow. I shot a lot of bucks with it." He said, "But it needs refinish." And I'm glad that you are an artist because it takes an artist to refinish a bow properly. And
Yeah.
so he sent me the bow. I went over it, did the strings, tuned it up.
Mhm.
We
And
dropped it by 10 pounds as well, I believe, right?
he
Is
Wow.
that
said,
the
That,
number we
"Mike,"
dropped?
he said,
that's
"Mike, I'm getting old." It was 56 and we went to 46 or 47. And, but I have a letter in my files that goes back, I'm going to say 50 years. And he says, Dick Robinson, at the time, you ever heard of him, probably,
Oh yeah.
right?
I interviewed him. I've known Dick again as long as I've known you.
Okay, Dick Robinson was my dealer in Montana back when, see? And he sold bows, Fedora bows, to Gene and Barry Wenzel.
Okay.
And Gene Wenzel at this time said the greatest mistake he did in his life, he had a rosewood bow with the white and the rosewood together. It was a multicolored bow.
Yeah.
And his neighbor was after him for 3 months. And he said, all right, I'll sell it to you. And he told me, he said, Mike, I haven't been able to sleep since I sold him that bow because that was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. And I have another letter in my files with Barry Wenzel. And he says, Mr. Fedora, back then we were young, right? He said, Mr. Fedora, how long did these bows last? He said, I have this bow I bought from Dick Robinson. And he says, you know, it was 68 pounds, I think, at the time. And he said, how long did they last? He said, I beat this thing up. And so I still have that letter in my files, but that's interesting.
Do you remember back in the day when they would communicate, the both of them for that matter, through cassette tapes? You'd send them a letter, and they, instead of writing a letter back, they would speak into a tape and mail the tape back to you. So I had a bunch of these tapes. And when we moved to Florida 4 years ago, you're in a scramble, you're putting stuff in boxes and whatnot. And I'm still finding boxes I forgot about. And I found this one box last week, and in it were all the tapes.
Amazing.
So I'm going to play those tapes and record them into the podcast. So like a narrative. So if you're driving down the road, you want to hear one of these tapes, boom, there it is.
I tell you what, in my opinion, Gene and Barry Wenzel did more for traditional archery than any other two people that I could tell you about.
And I've told this story a million times, and people are probably sick of hearing it, but I think it's funny. I was dating the most beautiful Italian girl in New Jersey back in the early 80s. And Gene and Barry were speaking at Ramapo State College in Ramapo, New Jersey. And I was like, I was talking about it for like a week, 2 weeks. I got to go see these guys. I got to go see these guys. They're my idols. And she's like, nope, you're not going. I said, we're not even married. And she goes, nope, you're not going. I said, well, you got to go. And I dumped her. I told Gene and Barry that story, and they still bring it up. I hung out with them at the PBS banquet last year, and they brought that up in a conversation. This is that Lopez guy. He's that crazy guy that dumped a Miss America to see us. But
so you didn't marry the girl?
Heck no. No, I married another gal who turned out to be quite excellent, and that didn't work out. So I'm on my second marriage now, almost 40 years though. So this one's a keeper. She's from Wisconsin. She's a great fisher. She loves to fish. I tried the archery thing, but like Ed Albright, I didn't have the patience. And when I took her bow hunting and I saw that she had makeup on, I said, this is the last time you're hunting with me. Because that, the makeup has scent.
Well, the makeup could be camouflage.
That's true. That's true. But guys, I'm going to cut off here, but I want to thank you again from on behalf of the Droptine Traditions podcast and from my heart. Thank you again for coming on. Again, a great privilege and an honor.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for the history lesson that you included today.
Why not?
I really thought it was great. And if you, I'll get you Bob Lee's phone number. It still works.
Oh, I got it.
John
I got
Lee,
it. I got it. Yep, John Lee. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of calls today to some collectors I know to see what they know about John Lee, and I'll let you know.
I really appreciate that.
Yep. Okay. Very good.
By the way, Bob Lee, who passed away now.
Yeah. I interviewed him.
He, in my opinion, was one of the top fantastic bow makers and designers. I mean, they still make a great bow. But I talked to him, and he was 90 something years old at the time. And just before he passed away. And just like we're talking today, we were talking about back then at the time and this and that.
Yeah, sure.
And great man.
Yeah, he played golf a lot, and I think that's what contributed to his longevity. his exercise on the golf course.
Got to keep moving.
Yep, absolutely. So funny you said that, because in that pile right behind me, I've got three 1965 and 1966 presentation twos, takedowns. That's one of my favorite all-time bows. And the rosewood in these risers, absolutely incredible.
I have one that's still in the takedown bow case, the takedown bow and the bow case original.
That's the one I collect. That's the one I collect. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull it off the rack.
Okay.
I also have a presentation too. It's on my bow collection at the house.
Is it a takedown?
No.
Oh, it's one piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
I put my headphones back on. All right. Look at the wood in this thing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's a rosewood bow.
Yeah. 1960,
Wow.
1965 and 66 are the only years he produced all rosewood.
Now, I want you to look at that grip. Do you see how it is rounded on the palm?
Yes.
See the palm?
Yes.
It's not got a flat spot on it. I don't, from the what I can see, it doesn't have a flat spot. Am I correct?
Yes, you're right. It's all rounded.
Okay, so now if you take a pen or pencil, right, and go around the grip, you'll see that there's what on the inside where you're gripping it. Run the pen. Give me that bow. Okay, go. Here's this bow. Go around the grip like this, and you'll see it looks like there's one continuous high spot on that grip.
Yes, you're right.
Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But
that was a fantastic bow.
Oh yeah, it still is. I shoot them all the time.
Still is.
I wish they would make this bow again.
So where are you living now?
I'm 28 miles west of Daytona Beach, Florida.
Oh.
We moved here 4 years ago because my wife retired. Well, they closed the building, and I had 3 acres of grass to cut every day, and I didn't mind it. But then COVID came, and then all my family passed away, except for me. And so I'm sitting around the house one day because I work from home now since COVID. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, all the kids and grandkids are in Florida. Let's go. Because she's been bugging me to go for years. And I was resistant. And finally, it dawned on me. I said, you know something? They don't tax you retirement. In the summertime, you stay inside, and I got a pool. So if I want to get cooled off, I jump in the pool. And I still fly to Maryland every year to bow hunt. And I hunt New York State as well. And so my round trip ticket for the end of October was $87.
Wow.
I couldn't drive there for that much. So when I moved here, I left 3 guns, a shotgun, a rifle, a 30-06, and a muzzleloader with my hunting partner, John, and I left him a bear takedown and hunting clothes. So all I have to do is put my backpack on with my underwear, off I go, and I'm hunting.
You got it all figured out.
I had to because I still love the North. I still love Pennsylvania. I still love Maryland. To me, those 4 seasons are, well, especially the fall, the smell of the decomposing leaves, the smell of the rut, that still gets me excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm already watching hunting videos. My wife goes, will you stop already? It's like, I can't help it.
Could I ask how old you are now?
I just turned 65 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so you're a pretty young guy.
I think so. I still feel like I'm in my 20s.
But you got a lot of mileage on you that are good miles.
They're good miles and a lot of good memories. Good friends. Yes. Still, they're still with us, some of them. You included, of course, and now Lawrence. So, well, anyway, guys, I'm going to go make a sandwich. Thanks again. And hey, listeners, for my audience, love each other, take care of each other, respect each other. And
follow the Lord, follow the Lord Jesus Christ. He's the only one that don't lie to you.
And he's the only one that listens.
True.
All right, guys.
And it's the only Savior.
That's right. Well, thanks again, gentlemen. We'll talk again. I'll keep in touch with you both, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take care.